Hello and welcome to Podsongs, where we interview inspirational people in service to others as inspiration for a new song. Today, our guest is Chad Colchin, and my co-host and musical guest is Robin Dann of the band Bernice. Hello, Robin.
Hello.
So I always make the mistake on the show of just presuming that everybody knows you.
Mm,
That's a mistake
don't
because
do
some
that.
people might not. So maybe you could just give me your little, that 1 minute introduction to you or Bernice, the band, however you're in the mood today, just so that people can understand who you are, and where you're coming from.
Sure. So my name's Robin Dann, and I am a singer and a songwriter. I have a band called Bernice, and we've been playing together since 2011, um, recording albums, touring, um, doing lots of
Yeah.
performances, and also each of the band members of Bernice kind of are individually super active freelance musicians here in Canada, in Toronto. Um, so Bernice has like been written about as Toronto's backing band because we, sometimes we're Martha Wainwright's backing band. Sometimes Tom and Phil are Sam Amidon's backing band. And that's just a part of our world too. It's just lots of collaboration, lots of cross pollination with other projects here in Toronto, where there's a really
Yeah.
great scene. So
Yeah, I get this the sense you do all the musicians, because
yeah.
you're like on Jacob Collier's playlists. I saw
Oh
that you
yeah,
had two
we're
songs,
so
and he's the
yeah,
musician.
correct. Yeah, actually, Martha's tour manager, Andy, my husband Phil's sitting here. He's my producer
To
today.
prompt you.
He just
Yeah.
wants to listen in
Hey Phil,
on
nice
the
to
Clues
see
pod.
you. Little screen, little photo
So
bombing there, video
yeah,
bombing.
yeah. Yeah, so he listened to us play a couple sets opening for Martha, and we qualify as, quote unquote weird music, I guess. Experimental pop. And he was like, I think I figured you guys out. You're the musos. So ever since then, that's how we self-identify.
That's
Music
great.
musos.
That was you want that one on the homepage, but
That's
you're
right.
you did 4 years of jazz. Yes, you come from that. You're an educated. You're not like the trash that I usually get on here. You're a proper musician who
Whether I
knows the
like it or
notes.
not, yeah, I,
You can
I
read
have
music.
studied music. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Your B flat from your C major sustained.
correct.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah. Yeah, my parents are both classical musicians. My stepmom works in the orchestral world. My younger brother is a really fantastic jazz pianist. My older brother is a drummer, educator, amazing pop and jazz drummer. My husband is a drummer as well. He plays with Bernice, so it's kind of like
Hmm.
it's been written in my blood.
Yeah, and as if that wasn't cosmopolitan enough, you've studied in Paris and London.
I worked in Paris. I studied in London, but thank you for that research. Yeah. I ended up bailing after I finished jazz school here in Toronto. I just wanted to kind of get out, and I got a job working for the French public school system, teaching English for a year. And I hung around in Paris for a little while longer, and then I decided to, in an effort to sustain my legal status
Mm.
overseas, I went back to school and did a master's at Goldsmiths, which also I genuinely wanted to do, but
Well, Goldsmiths
I
is
can't deny that I just wanted to stay over there. So that was
sure, yeah. I mean, but that must have been such an inspiring place. That's
mm-hmm.
Goldsmiths is the schnizzle.
It is, yeah. There was like the shrine to James Blake in the hallway of my program, and I could rent, any kind of binaural mics and walk around and record for my film audio class, and learned how to play a little bit of Balinese gamelan and studied Mongolian throat singing, and all of this was like as part of my master's. So I couldn't quite believe, how lucky I was. It was really fun.
Yeah. Wow, that really sounds fun. But that's carried
Mm.
over into your music and been recognized. You've been nominated for the Polaris Award, which is the biggest award in Canada, no, twice. Which
Yeah.
is yeah.
I mean, yeah, we feel really lucky to have been acknowledged on that list. And while also, acknowledging that the music scene in general, our music industry, and Canadian music industry in particular is a weird one to navigate. So
Yeah.
currently I'm just like, we're just doing our thing, making music, and not really thinking too much about any sort of industry success, because it
Mm.
seems like that's um not
Kiss of
helpful for
death.
my
No, yeah,
for
yeah.
my brain. Yeah.
Oh, you got a good scene there in Toronto. When I was a
Mhm.
super troubadour traveling around, I played North by Northwest
Oh
twice.
yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. It was good
Did you
fun.
do you remember where you played?
No, I don't remember.
Yeah,
No.
it's okay.
It was a while ago. I was a young
Mhm.
man.
Mhm.
Yeah, but no, it's a good place because you're in the middle of, the big sea, so you can go left or right, can't you? And
Yeah.
south, and you could,
Yeah.
yeah.
Totally. We're about to do a week down from sort of Toronto, a little East Coast circle. So down to Philly, New York, and then through Maine and Vermont, and then back up to Montreal. So that's a
Ah,
classic, easy, fun loop to do. That's
yeah, yeah.
super, super drivable from Toronto. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, yeah.
And you wound up in Italy?
Yeah, well, my girlfriend's Italian, so
Okay.
yeah,
Okay,
that's
cool.
what dragged me over here, kicking and screaming.
I mean, I'm sure that was really hard, to
It
move
was a tough
to
decision to,
Italy. Yeah.
yeah.
I think well, I shouldn't speak too soon, but I'm in the midst of booking us a tour in May in Europe, and I'm really hopeful that we're going to make it to Italy. But
Well, we're right in the south here, so there's not much money, but so the only bands we get through are Canadian.
because
Yeah,
they have grants
because they
and
have
they just
grants.
want to go to Italy.
Yeah, they get their tour paid for.
That's right.
Yeah, you're very in a good place.
We are lucky. We are
Yeah.
lucky.
So if you need to be hooked up in anywhere, let me know. We've got local venues.
Great. I will. Yeah.
It's a long,
Mhm.
Italy is so long and thin though. It's such a long drive. I mean, you're Canadian, so long driving is just, you to buy milk, you're talking 3 hours.
That's right.
But
Yeah.
but for
No,
us,
we're.
it's a long trip, so we try not to go too far away.
Yeah. No, I get it. We are down for drives, but certainly there's a limit to what ends up, making sense. But
People make it as far as Rome, and I'm much
yeah.
further south than that. So yeah, they stick in, people tour Germany because that's where the money is, and Holland and Northern Europe. So yeah,
Hmm.
you get progressively poorer as you get, it's Italy and Spain and Greece. Forget about it. I mean, you're you're
That's
paying
exactly
double
where I
it.
want to be, though. I'm like done with
Well,
the other countries.
yeah, well, it's unique, then you come for the experience. But yeah, if you're Canadian, you don't have to
Yeah.
worry about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. No, we're very lucky to have the grant system here. Yeah. I don't need to expand more on that. It's just
yeah,
we're
yeah,
super, super lucky. Those of
yeah,
us that can, you obviously it's competitive to get them, but those that do, so
yeah.
helpful.
Yeah, so we've been trying to set up this conversation for quite a while, and also because you had quite a few interesting eclectic guests that you wanted to choose from. You're very big, which I had not heard of,
Mm.
ASMR. Maybe would you like to tell the listeners a little bit what ASMR is? Sounds kinky.
Sure. Yeah, that's the common misconception is that so ASMR it stands for Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response. And it's basically an online, well, it exists in real life too, but it blew up on YouTube over the last, decade or so. People creating ASMR content, and they are ASMR artists or ASM artists. And they're basically making extremely soothing, peaceful, therapeutic content that
Do you want to
is
give us a
all
little? Do you want to give us a little example now?
sure. So it'd
Have
be
a-
like, welcome to my water glass sound, like that kind of thing. Can you hear that?
shivers up the spine kind of thing, and
Yeah, tingles in the
paintbrushes on
brain.
the mic. Yeah, and tingles. It's very relaxing. It's super. Yeah. So you had a
Mhm.
podcast where you made you commented on all the different channels. Like that's seriously,
Yeah,
you're a fan of, super
I
fan of.
am. I am. And actually, that's related to both of, like, so I had requested to speak with either, I think I also threw in, like, I don't know, some famous author or something, but really, I wanted to speak to either Maria, Gentle Whispering, who's like the #1 ASMR star, or the guest who we're going to have on today. And the common link between the two is the woman that I co-host that ASMR podcast with. She got me into both ASMR and The Bachelor, which is related to who I'll be talking to today, not exclusively, but
Well, we can transition into that. I mean, what's
yeah.
The Bachelor then? What's
So The Bachelor is a reality show for those who haven't heard of it. And I don't need to say too much more about that. Think what you may. It's a reality show about dating. But there's a podcast called Game of Roses, which basically breaks down The Bachelor as a professional sport.
Ooh.
So they have names for all the plays, they gather stats on all the players. You know, people go on the show more than once, so they'll have their rookie season and then they'll come back on for their second season, third season. There are ways to win the game, different ways to win the game, and different ways to play the game, their play styles and all that. And so Chad Colchin, who's going to be my guest today, and Lizzie Pace co-host this podcast. And my friend Gabby, that I both host the ASMR podcast with, and who got me into Game of Roses, I kind of lost
Yeah, I
where I
think
was
that
at
some of
in my
our audience,
sentence.
some of our European audience could be a little confused now. I mean,
Yeah,
we're going to the dream within the dream within
totally.
the dream. Yeah. So I'll just repeat that. So then there's a
Mhm.
game show. So you watch this. You're a fan of this reality show, and after each episode, you go on the podcast. You listen to the podcast, and they talk about that last episode, or how does it work?
I'm a fan of this show because of this podcast, really. I would never have thought of myself as being
Yeah,
into
you
reality
don't
TV.
or sports kind of numbers and
I did
statistics.
watch the Super Bowl, weirdly,
Okay.
last night, but no, I'm not like a big sportsman or reality TV person. But so Chad is a pretty fascinating person, and him and Lizzie created this world in which they examine reality TV through this lens of it being, a sport that you can play. But they also they draw comparisons to the state of the game, kind of reflects the state of America right now.
Okay.
And they're talking about a lot within this framework of this super entertaining reality show.
And
So
is it like Big Brother? Are they stuck in a room together, or
you don't know The Bachelor?
you don't know The Bachelor?
You don't know The Bachelor?
Oh, I know.
Okay. So The Bachelor is one man dates 30 women,
Okay.
gradually sending them home week by week by week and narrowing it down until he has his final two. And then one of them he proposes to, and one of them gets kicked off. And
Wow.
so the goal of The Bachelor is that he will get engaged at the end of the game. And they also have The Bachelorette, which is the opposite gender.
Okay.
It's very gender
Mm.
normative, hetero, kind of show. And then they recently launched The Golden Bachelor, which is like a retirement age man,
Ah, okay.
an older man, and then all of his contestants are women who are sort of also in their golden
Okay.
years. And then they also have as another spin-off Bachelor in Paradise, which is just like a crazy beachfront like drama,
Mm,
chaotic
mm,
drama with lots of former contestants who have
okay.
come back on to have like another shot at love.
Ah, and so because so Chad, he's written this book as well, so he advises people how to win it.
Yeah, Chad does so many things. You know, I became a fan of his because of Game of Roses, but he also has written 5 novels. He's the co-host of two other podcasts.
Yeah, I was checking them out. Doodsy is an AI one, is it?
Dudesy is this podcast that's controlled and run by an AI named Dudesy, and he co-hosts it with Will Sasso, who's a Canadian actor and comedian. He's pretty well known. And then he also runs a podcast called The Necessary Conversation, where he has these really difficult conversations with his parents and his sister. His parents are like MAGA Trump supporters, and him and his sister are not. And so they basically just like yell at each other, try to talk about current events, and they try to find common ground.
Mm.
And it's absolutely amazing to listen to. They love each other. That's kind of what it comes down to. They end every episode by saying, I love you, I love you, I love you.
Mm.
But before that, you know, his dad has like said the most insane things. Anyway, it's
Wow.
bananas. And that also really reflects, like, I think the state of a lot of families in America right now.
Yeah. God,
Could
he's a
be
busy
interesting
guy.
for European people to listen to that,
Yeah.
just to sort
Oh
of get an
God.
idea of. He's very busy, very busy. He
Yeah.
also writes for TV and film. Like he does a lot of stuff.
Mm. He must be because I was reading some of his. I was reading his wiki page, as
Yeah.
my that counts for me as in-depth research to make it to the wiki page. So and he said that yeah, he might be. I'm just putting it out there, but he might be very pleased that you're a woman
Oh
giving him
yeah.
an interview because he gets a lots of emails from people who say that from his books that they don't really.
Hmm.
What do you resonate with that? I mean, also that the films he's written. Uh,
It's weird because I guess I became a fan from a different angle.
mm,
So learning about his books and how he's been, yeah, like accused of being a misogynist, and there's this like sort of frat style, like gamer nerd humor, I
it's
guess
who he
that
is. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, that he kind of puts out there too. That I guess he's offended people. I don't know. I mean, that's what I want to figure out today. I
Yeah,
really
yeah.
genuinely like him as a person, and
Okay,
I think that I don't know. There's more than
okay.
meets the eye. I almost feel like those books were like a way to troll the
Uh,
world, like a great
double bluff.
experiment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, okay. Well, this is going to be interesting. I mean, and then we have to make a song about it. As it.
Yeah. Well, the other piece is that Chad is really into music
Ah,
and creates these wild songs for his podcast. And I'm hoping for this episode we can like source a couple. Maybe he can send them to us and we can add them in.
okay.
He sings, he produces, and so I'm wondering we can ask him, but I'm curious if maybe he might want to like contribute to the song as
Yeah.
well.
Or get Dudesy to write a few lyrics as well.
Exactly. That's my hope. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, brilliant. Well, I'm super excited for this. It's going to be an unusual collaboration because, yeah, it's so interesting because, also for your fans of your music too, because they like your music, they love your sound, but, when you do music interviews, they're quite one-dimensional now. I mean, they're asking you, where you came from and,
Yeah.
you know, where you studied, where you've lived, like I did. But, to get behind that, get under your skin, what you listen to, what you watch. And this is really, it's a big part of it. So I'm very excited.
Totally. yeah, I love the angle of this because every person has. I just feel like every person is really fascinating for reasons that have nothing to do with the things they do. In a way, it's just like how do you think about the world and what makes you laugh and how do you feel when you're just walking down the street? And I feel like this podcast kind of allows people to hopefully go a little deper.
Yeah, and then we get to see the guests, because if Chad comes on now and I interview him, I'd give him a great run for his money. We'd ask interesting questions. We'd have a great time. We'd chat, but it doesn't go to. I'm not a fan. I don't know anything about him. So, and I get a lot of that from heard that from a lot of people. That they've done interviews with people who they've never even read their book. And they're just asking questions based on the book jacket. But when the musician comes on and interviews them, and it's they've read every book, and it's really such a joy to be interviewed by somebody who has is a fan. I mean, how often do you get interviewed by a fan? It's not very often.
Totally.
Yeah,
I got some questions for him for sure.
Oh, some doozies.
I don't know, we'll see how it goes. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, anything else? I mean, also when we produce the song, I've got musicians here in Italy who'd love to work with you, but obviously you've got, drummers, musicians. Really, it's literally at your feet.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll kind of see how it takes shape. Yeah. We'll see how it takes shape. I'm really into the idea of just casting a wide net and seeing what happens. I don't know, collaborative songwriting is challenging. So, but then you always come up with something that you could have never done in your own little box. So,
for sure. Yeah. Well, I think the man's arrived. The man himself.
I'm here.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello.
Great to see you, Chad.
You too. All right. Do I need to do anything else on my end? Am I good? Can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear. Yeah.
Fantastic.
So let me have the honor of introducing you to Robin in Toronto.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Pretty good. I spent a lot of time in Toronto. I love that city.
Cool. Yeah. I think I knew that somehow. I think maybe we have a few degrees of separation.
Oh, interesting. All right.
Yeah. Jack, did you wanna say anything more, or should we just?
No. I'm still on it, and you take it away.
Okay, awesome. Well, Chad, I'm very, very happy to meet you. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this.
My pleasure. It's my honor to be here.
Oh my God. Okay. I'm just gonna begin because I have like a little kind of framework that I thought we could work in.
Sure.
Okay, let me just do a little intro here. So, for those who aren't familiar with Chad Colchin, the New York Times has called him a popular phenomenon to be reckoned with. One of his readers, I think so, yeah. One of his readers called him the Antichrist.
That one's true.
His Wikipedia page says he's part of the literary movements of materialism, sexual liberation, and hedonism.
All right.
Author of 5 novels. Is that correct?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
Screenwriter, journalist, podcast host of Game of Roses, Doodsy, and The Necessary Conversation. Co-author of How to Win the Bachelor. Cryogenics fan, believer in aliens, AI collaborator.
Yeah.
Famously vegan and son of Earth. Guardian of Scabulian, an extremely cute cat, and lover of squirrels.
Yeah. Scabulian's here. He's right behind me.
Okay,
maybe he'll make an appearance. We'll see.
I hope so. I'd like to welcome Chad Colchin, a.k.a. Bachelor Clues, to Podsongs.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm very excited about this.
I'm so excited. To quote Caitlin Bristow, my heart is beating out of my chest right now.
Okay.
I'm sure you can tell that I'm also like a fan. I'm just a fan. I'm also a musician.
Okay.
And when Jack asked me to do this podcast, I was thinking like, the premise was you speak to someone who inspires you, who you find fascinating, who you want to know
Mhm.
more about, and then you write a song about it. And I was like, well, I think I either want to talk to Clues or this ASMR star that I'm like a huge fan of. So
Okay.
those were my sort of launching points for Jack, and
Uh-huh.
I'm glad that he reached out to you and you said yes.
Yeah, I think this is going to be super fun, and
Mhm.
hopefully you'll get to talk to the ASMR star as well at some point.
I hope so. She's a little more mysterious. I don't know if she actually has contact info posted publicly.
Oh, all right.
I'm sure because she would kind of get,
Mhm.
attention that she doesn't really want. But
Sure.
one day we'll speak to Gentle
Fingers
Whispering.
crossed.
So I thought that we could kind of focus this interview into 4 topics, kind of
Okay.
in the spirit of the necessary conversation.
Sure.
So I've got 4 kind of topics to hone in on.
All right.
And the first one is the kayfabe effect.
Mhm.
Um, so if anyone doesn't know what this is, it's sort of a professional wrestling term, right,
Yeah,
Chad?
that's correct.
Do you want to kind of like define it?
Yeah, kayfabe is basically in pro wrestling the idea that the wrestlers are always maintaining the illusion that what's happening in the ring is real, that none of it is scripted, and that all the outcomes are genuine based on competitive actions, and that none of this is predetermined essentially. And that can go all the way to the severity of a character. Somebody like the Undertaker, for example, back in the Attitude Era, his gimmick was that he was a zombie, a literal undead person. And
Mm-hmm.
so the kayfabe of that is he's got to pretend that he's a zombie in the ring and everybody buys it. The other wrestlers agree that he's an undead zombie that they're wrestling and he can't be hurt and all this kind of stuff. And it was famously broken in the late 80s, early 90s by the then president of what was WWF then, Vince McMahon. He came out before one of their programs and said, look, we know that you, the audience, all understand this is scripted and we don't want to insult your intelligence anymore. What we want to do is bring you the highest quality entertainment possible. So he kind of openly admitted, this
Oh
is not
shit.
real, but what we're going to do is blow your minds. And that's where the Attitude Era came from. They were then given kind of
Mm.
carte blanche to make the storylines even crazier and weirder, like with a zombie, et cetera, et cetera. But that idea of kayfabe, essentially maintaining the illusion of whatever the media is required to have to exist,
Mm-hmm.
spreads, in my opinion, to virtually everything. American
Mm-hmm.
politics, reality TV, certainly, basically everything that you're looking at. The kayfabe, but even of Instagram, when you're watching influencers, and they're on some luxury jet, and then you find out, no, they shot that in a influencer set somewhere in LA. They were never even in the air. That's kayfabe as well. It's just basically maintaining the integrity of the illusion, whatever that
Mm-hmm.
illusion may be in media specifically. But it came from pro wrestling. That term specifically did anyway.
Okay, cool. And why do you think they felt the need to break that wall and make that announcement?
I don't know. I mean, like I said, I think it allowed them the opportunity to then push the narratives in pro wrestling to a level that we had never seen before. Again, I use The Undertaker as an example because that to me is one of the most insane ones. That the man is a literal zombie. We can all, immediately
Mhm.
understand that's not true, but they maintained that narrative. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think once you kind of admit that like what we're doing here is fiction, and yes, we're going to pretend like it's real. We know that you're going to pretend with us. And that's part of the fun of it, is like buying into that narrative and lending it some kind of credibility. I think at least for an audience, or what we call in reality TV and our podcast, Game of Roses, the fourth audience.
Mm-hmm.
I think it allows the audience to have more fun with it. And
Mm-hmm.
there's something in, you watch like Bachelor, for example, is something that I'm an expert in, but all reality TV is this way. When you have villains in these shows, very often these people are not villains in any way whatsoever. That's made in the edit. They construct this out of taking different syllables that they said in this interview and syllables they said in that interview, and they'll cut together strings of dialogue of things these people never said, or situations that have never really happened. Then they present it as real. And in reality TV, because I still think most of the audience doesn't understand the kayfabe of it, they do think it's real. These people get death threats. These people have their lives ruined in some cases after a villain edit. Whereas in pro wrestling, if you're a villain, you're called a heel and people love you. Roman Reigns, currently the WWE Universal Heavyweight Champion, has been a heel for however many years he's been doing this, and people like love to hate him. But they all know that's not real. And at a certain point, Roman Reigns came out. This was some years ago. He walked into the ring and he said, you know, he broke kayfabe. He says, and here, my name's Roman Reigns, but my real name is this. And right now, I'm battling leukemia. So I'm going to have to leave wrestling for a little while, but I'm going to come back stronger, whatever. And the whole audience is like crying and everybody's down for it. But then when he comes back, he's the heel again. He's that villain that we love to hate again. But in reality TV, it's like, it's slightly different because I think people still do think it's real enough that they genuinely hate the people in these shows, which is, in my opinion, unnecessary and to some degree kind of like dangerous, honestly.
Yeah. Well, I wonder, does there need to be that moment where they make that kind of announcement and then they can push the shows further, like you said, like go to these extremes? I don't know. It's interesting. But this is kind of what I was getting at. Like, you just launched right into it, but you know, so much of what you do and the stuff that you, the podcast that you produce and the things you think about and talk about, whether it's Bachelor, reality TV, politics with your family, or the Dudesy pod, you know, is engaging with the sort of same kayfabe-ness of life and how it's like everywhere all the time. And we all have this capacity to kind of suspend our disbelief in these situations in order to enjoy things. Or sometimes, I guess, with politics, I don't know, whatever, you don't know what's going on. But do you think that, like, is this the center of your curiosity? I guess that's my question.
Yeah, but it's only as it's expressed in kind of like contemporary media because I find it like fun and funny. But I consider politics to be a reality TV show just as much as I do The Bachelor, and I kind of watch it that way. But for me, I think like that's only the stuff that I can kind of like work with. That's kind of like my medium, if you will, in most of the art that I make, is kind of exploring what is real in contemporary media. Because at its core, I think that questioning comes from my firm belief that literally nothing is real. Like none of what we're seeing is real. There is no space time. And so if reality itself is just a big kayfabe joke to all of us, for sure, I'm going to keep furthering that joke in the little ways that I can by like talking about Bachelor or whatever. But yeah, I mean, at its core, I think fundamentally we all kind of question what the fundamental nature of reality is. Nobody has a good answer for it. Science, you know, creeps toward it very slowly. There've been some big developments in particle physics recently, in quantum physics recently, that are kind of at least shedding some light on perhaps the idea that we've been looking in the wrong place the whole time for a kind of unified theory of existence. But I don't know if that answered your question. Sorry.
Yeah, no. I mean, I love how like you seem, and particularly right now I'm thinking about when you talk to your family. So on this podcast that you have with your family where you guys discuss current events and try to find common ground. And often that seems impossible to do. And, you know, you'll be kind of getting like, you'll be like, let me ask you this, let me ask you this, let me ask you this to your mom or your dad. And it's always to try to get at, like, how did you form this opinion? And is there a way for this opinion to be changed? And inevitably it's a no, that they're just like, nope, like, I'm going to believe that. And you're always like, interesting. And it seems that, like, that's what you're kind of carving away at in all of these different mediums that you work in, is like, how do people form their version of reality when, in your opinion, there is no reality? And I don't know if there's a question in there, but
yeah, no, I mean, it's interesting. I think about that kind of stuff a lot because truly for a human being, at least, you know, what we know them to be, perception is reality. And so I do think a lot of people, no one views this or experiences this in the same way. There are two things I think that we kind of experience similarly for everyone. We have different reactions to it, but the experience is virtually the same. time, and death. And I don't necessarily know if either of those things are real. In fact, I would say they're probably not. My own personal opinions. But those two kind of constants exist for most humans, or all humans, I would say, in exactly the same way. We all experience 24 hours in a day, whatever the fuck that means. But we all experience like a linear progression of time. And for all of us, at some point, that experience ends. We, in quotes, die. Other than that, everything beyond that is completely subjective, and no two people experience even like the color red the same way. Something as small as that, all the way up to if you think a Donald Trump video is real or he's telling the truth or not, or whatever, you know. And I'm just kind of fascinated by the array of realities that we all subscribe to, and none of them are the right one. That to me is really what the most fascinating part about all these conversations is just like, well, why do you think this when you could be thinking this? And both of these things are equally invalid. So yeah, I mean, I it's just fun for me to kind of play around in that, I guess.
Yeah, super fun. I don't know how much you want to talk about Dudesy, which is the podcast that you make with Will Sasso, which is run by an AI named Dudesy. There are levels of reality happening within that podcast, which have kind of come out recently, right? In the comedy special that you kind of had to make a statement about, you got some flack for. Okay, so what my question is, regardless of like what's real, what's fake, what's actually being AI generated, what you guys are writing and pretending is AI, what degree of like the kayfabe thing is happening, how do you like ride that without sort of revealing it inherently in your reactions on the show? Because sometimes when Will's reading something that I can only assume you've written, even though Dudesy maybe has written it, like you're laughing. Your laughter is real. There's no way it's not real. Are you just kind of like...
All I can say is, you know, I have written TV comedy for a long time, and when you're on the set and you're shooting a scene you wrote and you see an actor performing the scene, it's way funnier to you then than it is when you're just sitting there typing it. You know, to see it like brought to life is, to me, always far more entertaining.
Right.
It does get a genuine laugh out of me, whether I wrote it or not. Seeing somebody perform it for the first time is, to me, like the pleasure of it. That's why you're writing it. Or for me, again, you know, all writers are different and all artists are different. But for me, that's kind of the final form of the thing. When you're writing something, that's just like, I think this is going to be funny. Then when you see it and it actually is, you're like, oh, fuck, that is funny. So yeah. And I mean, you know, people laughing at their own stuff is a time-honored tradition. Watch most stand-up comedians. They'll laugh at their own jokes. Not only have they written those jokes, they've performed those jokes hundreds, if not thousands of times on the road to hone them, and, you know, blah, blah, blah. And the laughter becomes part of their performance. I don't know if I'm like qualified to be delivering like any kind of good comedic performance. I don't really fancy myself an actor, but yeah, for me, the humor in it is like seeing it performed by, in that case specifically, my friend Will, who I think is one of the funniest people that has ever lived. And so to see some like sitting 1 foot away from a guy delivering an insane performance is just, it's always going to be funny to me.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Can you tell me like what percentage of Dudesy is written by y'all and what percent is actually being generated by the AI?
I cannot.
Even if
I can't. I mean, as you may know, there are some
I know
there's some things afoot currently that kind of have me unable to really discuss that podcast.
Gotcha.
My
Well,
apologies.
I would highly recommend that anyone listening to this goes and checks out Dudesy, because it's just amazing and funny. And
Thank you very much.
yeah, you have a great like, you've found your perfect co-conspirators in your podcasts. You and Lizzie just have this magic chemistry together. You and Will have this magic chemistry together. You and your family have this incredible magic chemistry together.
I don't know about that.
It's beyond belief. It's beyond belief, honestly. Okay, I have more questions about kayfabe, but I think we got to move on to topic number 2.
Okay.
So topic number 2 is the primary world,
Mhm.
which you kind of have said that you believe that the parasocial world is now the primary world for most people.
Mhm. Yeah.
So social media,
The screen, basically, just
yeah,
anything that's on that screen, whatever the screen may be, your phone, your TV, your computer. That is
yeah,
where we are, at least in the connected world, which I believe now we're up to about 70 something percent of the world is on the internet, of the human population is on the internet, I should say. I think for most people that are on the internet, whatever you're doing on that screen is what you're doing most of your day. In-person interaction, I think, takes a drastic backseat to that. I mean, even this I would consider, yes, we're talking to each other and interacting, but it's through a screen, it's through a
mhm,
computer.
mhm.
You know, and at a certain point with the advent of AI, we will be able to have a conversation like this, and you won't really know if the two other people in those boxes are real or not.
And you
You'll be
might not
okay with
care.
it. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. I
yeah.
won't. I know personally I'm ready for it. I'm like, yes, please give me this now.
How
I
much
think
time do you think it'll be before we don't
I
know
mean, it's
what's
already happening now. There are a bunch of different AI tools out there. HeyGen is one. It's a website called HeyGen. I believe the website's HEY dash GEN, I think is it. And there's another one called DID, D-ID. And these are two AI tools that you can essentially just make an avatar of yourself or anyone, and you just type in what you want them to say, and they say it, and it looks like you, and it
Mm,
sounds like your voice, and all of that. And like, you know, how many people out there have to be in like shitty Zoom meetings that they don't want to be in for whatever their job is? Throw your AI avatar in there
yeah.
and then just have the AI break down all the pertinent points from that meeting into a little bullet pointed list that you can read later.
Mhm.
I mean, that kind of stuff is happening now.
Yeah.
That's not even the future.
Do you think that so my one of my questions was where do we like what's the next evolution of the screen world being the primary world kind of
Mhm.
beyond um like that sort of the influencers in the wild effect where people
Mhm.
are making their viral dances and they don't care at all about what's happening around them in the world even though it might be
Yeah.
interpreted as like really embarrassing to people who are on the street.
Mhm.
Um and the fact that, social media kind of controls the economy
Mhm.
and we're all so addicted and do you think that like that's the next level of it being the primary world is basically that we all have AI avatars that are just being us online or
No, I think it's actually AR, at least in terms of what you're talking about with, you can walk down the street and see any day a dozen people doing TikTok dances as people are like going to and from work and they just don't give a shit. They're like
Mhm.
blocking the sidewalk and doing their dances or whatever. I wrote this book that never got published. God, this has got to be like 10 years ago. It was called Future So Bright. And it was about a guy dating in the future, maybe like 30 years from now, when the whole world is basically run by this big AI company that kicks out a new AI product every year. And the first product was called Complete. It was 3 sections of this book. The first product was called Complete, and it was a thing that basically said, "We have a whole generation's data. You guys have been using our phones and our tablets and shit since you were 5 years old. We know everything about all of you. We're going to tell you who your soulmate is, and it's right 100% of the time." And so then this guy's fiance is like, I think we should use that and find out who our soulmate is. Like, what the fuck? We love each other. So she dumps him, and then he's kind of cast out into the world of dating in this app era. Then they come out with a product called Everything, where they generate every image that's possible to be created and put it in a publicly searchable database. So anyone who makes any kind of images, whether you're prompting AI or taking photos, all of it's already been made. You just have to sift through it now. And then the third thing is a pill called Heaven. You take it, it takes an atomic map of your brain, uploads it into a server for this AI company. You live forever, but it kills your body. And so the whole book is about this guy slowly realizing you cannot stop the march of technology. You might as well embrace it because he's heavily
Mm.
anti AI. But the reason I bring this up is because in that book, there's a sport called Floton, which is an AR sport. So you put on your AR glasses, and so does somebody else. And what you then see in this team game is a kind of translucent box forms around you and whoever else is in the game playing on this field. And then a ball forms in the middle of the field, and you run to it and you're throwing the ball around and catching it, but none of it is real. It's all projected in AR glasses. So if you're watching somebody play that game, they're just like jumping around swatting at nothing with these AR glasses on. You know, you can't, it's not really a spectator sport. And I think that type of thing is where we're really headed. You're seeing it now. All these Apple
Yeah.
Provision things are coming out. There are a couple of technologies that I think will come to a confluence relatively soon, actually. And they may seem disparate, but they're not. It's Elon Musk's Neuralink, where he's implanting computer chips into people's heads that allow them to control cell phones and computer devices just with thought, and AR goggles like the Apple Provision, like X-Real 2. There's a bunch of different ones, but ultimately these things will get merged together. And instead of a chip in your brain, you're going to be wearing like a little skull cap that picks up your brain waves and can also interfere with your brain waves, basically sending signals to your optic nerve, so that the whole world will be mapped with whatever you want it to be. If you want to play World of Warcraft 24/7 and you want your real world to look like Stormwind Castle, that can happen for you. And if advertisers want to put, you know, whatever Ford and Coke and Crest ads on every flat surface, that will also happen. But I think that's kind of the future of it. And I think we will see that in our lifetimes for sure. All of us.
Maybe it will look like a cochlear implant.
I think the implant thing is the step too far. I don't think an average person is going to get an implant. If you
But I'm
have
just
something,
thinking, I'm not going to wear a little hat. But if it was like a little, you know, like Daisy, she's like, look, it's so cute. Like it's just like a
sure.
little magnet.
Yeah, it
Maybe.
could be like that. I mean, you know, you see some Black Mirrors like that. I think there was one where
Yeah.
the device was just like a little kind of
Oh,
like
yeah, and then
glowing
they can
sticker you put on your
see.
temple.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it gets down to something like that. But I feel like that's the future of all of this kind of stuff. The AI-ness of it really is just a tool to eliminate labor of all kinds, including creative labor. You're seeing it now with the image generators. It's like, you know, how long did it take somebody to learn how to draw or paint or whatever? And then even learning that at a high level, how many of those images can you create per day, let's say? Not even one generally. Generally speaking, a good painting or something's going to take you at least a week or two. On Midjourney, I can make 2,000 images a day roughly that are photorealistic of anything I want. Why would I ever learn to paint?
Okay, this is something that I actually wrote down that I wanted to talk to you about, because you have talked about this before, how it's like, I'm not going to need to be a writer. I'm going to be able to just ask AI to write me a season of whatever TV show I want. I'm not going to need to be a painter. I don't need to be a musician. I can just AI a song or whatever the technology is. And in a way, like, I can totally see how that reality will be true and is already true in a lot of circumstances. But to me, it's like, sure, that makes sense if you're thinking of all art making and creative production in like an economic frame where it's like, I need 10 images that are really good, and why would I ever need to learn to paint? But it's like, what of the actual experience of painting or learning to paint?
Sure.
And
if
being a
absolutely.
writer, like, do you enjoy being a writer, or
Hell no.
would you rather? So you don't? Okay.
No, the labor of it is mind numbing.
You
To
don't
have to
like it?
sit and for months at a time type away on some story or whatever is, to me, a waste of time. And I've written many books, I've written many TV shows. This is what I do for a living. If I can do it faster, please let that happen. Please. If I can just take an idea and, like, over the course of a night with a chat bot, really hammer it out and, like, get a finished draft in a day, yes, I'll do that every fucking time, because I mean, I don't know, all artists are different, but you know, for me, it really is about, there is a mountain of concepts in my head that is constantly being added to. And I knew at some point, maybe when I was 15 or 16, I was like, I'll never be able to make all this shit. And it just keeps piling up. So I have to pick and choose what I can make. How much time do I have? What is my schedule like? But if I can use an AI to start really digging into that fucking mountain and make as much of it as I can, which I think is what's happening now. I mean, this to me is like the technology I have been waiting for my whole life.
It's like you're still gonna be able to be creative as much as you want to be, but you have this like fast forward button you can push on the excruciating part, which I relate to, like, as a songwriter, you know, just sitting in front of my computer or sitting in front of my piano. It's like banging your head against a wall trying trying to just
Yeah.
tap into that initial thing. But I still don't know about, anyway, I'd like to be
I mean,
proven wrong.
if you enjoy the artistic process of whatever your medium is, by all means, we can all indulge that still. It's not like AI is going to replace this stuff. It's like the photograph didn't replace paintings. It's a new form of art that exists
But it'll probably
concurrently side by
replace, like,
side.
they'll probably replace, like, commercial songs, you know? Like, all the people who are scoring for commercials for, like,
Yeah, that's gone. Or needle
pharmacies or
drop in
cars
movies and
or
stuff, of course. But
Mhm.
like, and who cares? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Have you guys tried Suno AI yet?
Mm-mm.
You might be interested in this. Suno. You can type in lyrics and you can type type in a genre, you know, pop, emo,
Mhm.
whatever you like, and it will make songs for you at a
Well,
clip of about
maybe this
2
is, like,
per 30 seconds.
okay. Maybe this is a part of the song that gets generated for this episode. I'm thinking perhaps
It's possible.
Suno's
It's a good tool. As somebody who like dabbles in music, I'm by no means a musician, but I have Logic Pro and I make my little weird songs.
yeah.
But as somebody who does that, I have been blown away by Suno because
Mm.
it has people singing your lyric, or not people, they're AI voices, but you just type in the lyrics and the genre, and it gives you, in most cases, a crystal clear rendering of that song in whatever that genre is. Sometimes you get like AI hallucinations and it sucks. Sometimes you got to re-roll it here and there. But
AI
it's really
hallucination.
astounding. And that's kind of the first iteration of this type of technology. Who knows where it will be in 2 or 3 years.
Crazy. Okay. We have to move to topic 3, but I have one more
Please.
question
Okay.
before we do. I want you to explain this to me as someone who, you know, I'm a millennial. I'm addicted to my phone. I'm addicted to Instagram. But lately, really the only reason I go on Instagram is because I'm obsessed with these 3 Mormon, like, millionaire influencer women from Dallas. They're all from
Yeah.
Dallas. And I love them. I love
Mhm.
them. They're just constantly doing SpawnCon, which is sponsored content that I don't want. It's like Walmart clothes, hair curlers, you know, makeup, all that shit. And it's like the only reason I want to go on Instagram is to just see what they're up to and watch their stories. So why do you think that is happening to me?
I think there's a lot of curiosity around various kind of, I mean, that basically is a little reality TV show for you. These 3 women, you watch them and they're making similar content to what you would see if like Bravo did a reality show about them. And maybe they're even angling for that. Maybe that show will exist in another year or 2. But I think it's interesting to a lot of people to kind of see how these subcultures live. And in this case, like I'm fascinated with Madison Pruitt from The Bachelor, who is also a
Yes.
Christian influencer, married a billionaire. I'll watch everything she ever puts out because I'm like,
Yeah.
what is that life like? The person, like, how can you exist in this world that is obviously very drastically different from how I live? And I understand kind of the parameters of it, but to actually see not only like the inside of her house and stuff, but to then watch what content she's deciding to give us. Because people like that, and I'm sure these Mormon influencers are the same, nothing gets put on Instagram that hasn't been thoroughly scrutinized, thought about, rewatched, edited possibly. They're giving you a very curated version of whatever they're wanting to give you. That's their kayfabe. This is the reality I live in. It's like none of that's fucking real, but okay, I get what you're trying to convey to me. And that to me is the most interesting part of it. And maybe it is for you too in that case, is like, why are they making this video? What are they
Yeah.
trying to tell me or sell me in this video? That
Well,
is fascinating to me.
The way that I discovered one of them, so her handle is Turtle Creek Lane, is that she was parodied on Saturday Night Live by Chloe. What's her last name? Chloe
Feynman, I think.
Yeah, Chloe Feynman. Thank you. Because she was doing every day. She does this thing where she's like, "Good morning, happy Monday. Let's pause, take 5 seconds, and submit something we're grateful for because happiness begins with gratitude." So she's doing her daily gratitude thing, and in the back of the video is this huge dildo, and it's like so
What?
off-brand. It's so off-brand for her, and that was like
Fascinating.
a mistake, right? Like,
Sure.
and it blew up in the media, and there were all these things, and da da da. She's this like Christian, you know, wholesome American values woman with like huge blonde hair who's famous for decorating her house in the most extreme ways. But she then spun it and just made fun of herself, and it was awesome, and it was like got her obviously like way more followers,
Sure.
and that's how I found her. Was a
And that
crack.
a crack in the kayfabe.
Yeah.
The dildo was the crack in the kayfabe.
The
And
dildo
that,
was the crack in
I
the
mean,
kayfabe.
that kind of thing, I think you're going to start seeing it more and more engineered also, like social media things that seem real but are completely not, that have been
Yeah.
scripted totally. There's a good example of this going around right now on TikTok. All these old Gen Z and young millennials are dressing like mob wives. Have you seen this?
Mm-hmm. My mob wife era.
The mob wife era, yes. Supposedly, it's now kind of being confirmed that that whole trend was started by HBO and a PR company in order to get interest in mob built back up, because they're about to do a big 25-year anniversary of Sopranos thing.
Of course.
So I think you're going to start seeing that a lot more, like these engineered things that seem real. And maybe that dildo was
Mhm.
real. I don't know, but could have just been something she was like, let's see what happens. Put the
Yeah.
dildo on the fucking thing.
Yeah.
And now she gets to run with that for a while.
They do a lot of it's definitely extreme. Lately they're in a helicopter a lot because her husband got his helicopter license and she's really scared of going in it, and that's like a whole storyline. And she gets a Jolly Rancher every time she goes in, so there's always like the Jolly Rancher on the seat, and it's like this repetitive comforting thing of like, is Jen going to be okay in the helicopter today?
Right.
And then you're like, fuck them for having a helicopter, and then there's that, and then there's like all these elements that are
Yeah.
yeah.
I remember when
pretty
I was a kid, there was
brilliant.
a show hosted by Robin Leach called Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. And it was an hour-long show where he would go to whoever's house, some rich famous person, and they would just show you all the nice shit they had. And that was basically it. That's the only time you really saw like the lifestyles of
Or
these.
Cribs.
Yeah, Cribs was kind of a later version of that. But even in Cribs, it was kind of like jokey and like, come on in, this is where the
Yeah.
magic happens. No. Now that has been like boiled down to its finest kind of essence, which is all these rich people on TikTok and Instagram
Yeah.
being like, check out my car, check out my helicopter, check out my whatever. And it's in your face constantly. Like you said, it's the only reason you now go on Instagram is to look at these rich people and see what the shit you don't have. And I think that is like, it's a very interesting era in social media. It feels to me like there's going to be a hard swing the other way soon.
Well, there's also like, yeah, there's that side of things, and then there's these cool kind of, yeah, I think the pendulum is like super broad right now. I feel like there's not enough time to get into like the other kind of comedy on Instagram that I think is really like incredible and kind of sidestepping the Netflix era of TV. But anyway, okay. Subject 3, topic 3, which I feel like we've already gotten into a little bit, is the Cluesian protocol. So your name's Chad Colchin and you go by Bachelor Clues on your Game of Roses pod. And I would say that those who are listening can kind of agree or have gotten the vibe from you that you have like a relatively nihilist sort of perspective on the world. You can be kind of bleak. You can have these really like the human race is going extinct perspectives. But despite that, you, I would say, give off really positive vibes, really jokes, positive vibes.
All right. Thank
And
you.
I want to know
it.
how do you ride that line of extreme negativity, but then you don't seem to be someone who's like depressed all the time.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever suffered from depression. I don't know. The answer, I guess, is yeah. At some point, when you realize like this shit is none of it's real, it just becomes very funny to me. And even experiencing some horrific and traumatic things in my life, I can still find like the humor in the absurdity of the situation or whatever the case may be. And to me, it's very freeing to know that none of this matters, because it's not going to be here forever. The earth will be turned to ash by our sun as it expands. This is many years from now, but nonetheless, if we don't get off planet earth, all human endeavor will be rendered null and void. So whatever you're doing in your life, whatever you find important, is meaningless, unfortunately, in that scope at least. It can have meaning to you, which I think is the flip side, and maybe where the optimism comes from, or whatever's perceived as optimism. To me, it's just about like, I'm gonna find whatever fucking entertains me, and I'm gonna pursue that to the best of my ability. And in many cases, for me personally, it's just funny things.
Mm-hmm.
It's like jokes and things that I find, kind of point out like the little simple truths of our collective existence. And maybe that's where the nihilism kind of can come through, I guess, is, so like on Game of Roses, I'll always say, like, when a bachelor person has a baby and we're reporting on it, I'm always like, well, they brought their baby into our dying world on da 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 da. And
Yeah.
that's just simply true. The
Yeah.
world is dying, whether you want to face that fact or not. I face it all the time, and I think it's kind of funny. Personally, the futility of all of this to me is hilarious, especially because so many people care so much about so many things, and they're willing to fight and die for it and do all
Yeah.
kinds of nasty shit to each other. And it's like, in the end, we all get whatever, in quotes, time, whatever the fuck that means, on this planet to just kind of like be here and do things. And some people get so fired up about it, they choose to spend that time engaging in violence or whatever the case may be. For me, it's just like, I don't know. I'm gonna read some good books, watch some funny TV shows, and make some art. And hopefully, I can make a living in this weird capitalist world we live in, which is a system that's completely manufactured, unnecessary, as are
Mm-hmm.
all the systems that we have. Everything could be run in a different way, and it's not. This is what we got. And so you got to figure out a way to kind of swim through this weird little game and try to keep yourself entertained. I don't know
Mm.
if that answers whatever your question was. My
For
apologies.
sure. No, that's for sure. And on that note of like some people choose violence, you happen to have parents that feel really angry a lot of the time, and I'm wondering like how do you not get riled up when you're talking to them, because you
Mhm.
tend to just kind of let it roll over you. At least that's the impression I get. Does it get to you though?
Um, Not anymore. In the beginning, when my parents were kind of regular people. I mean, always like a little right wing, a little racist, whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
prior to Obama becoming president in the United States, they were like not like they are now. That fueled them up and fired them up in a way that I had never seen. And in the beginning of his first term, I would get upset about it because it just seemed impossible to me that anybody could like be this hateful for seemingly no reason, et cetera, et cetera. But then at some point, I mean, I've always kind of felt this, I guess, but I really consciously absorbed the idea that we don't have free will, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't believe we do, and which is another thing that makes all of this absurd anyway, to me. And so I just kind of looked at my parents as like, well, they have no choice in how their brains work or how they're
Mm-hmm.
reacting to whatever information they're seeing from whatever channel. It's just that we're all these kind of like program machines behaving and reacting in ways that we don't really have a choice about. And so it takes away any kind of animosity I would have for my parents at whatever their political beliefs are,
Mm-hmm.
or any beliefs
Mm-hmm.
generally. I just don't think they're responsible for them.
Mm. And they raised you and your sister, and you guys have a totally different kind of perspective on things, so that's part of
Mhm.
them too, obviously.
Yeah, I guess. But also, like, I don't believe my sister and I have
No.
any responsibility or choice in how we see the world or what we're doing in our lives either. I mean, but this gets into some more kind of like potentially metaphysical things or even, theoretical physics might even tell us at this point that time doesn't really exist. And we experience it in this linear causal kind of mode. But the truth may be that everything exists simultaneously. So whatever you're doing now must be done to fulfill a future that already exists.
Yeah.
I know that the terminology is strange because again, humanity experiences time linearly, but there's pretty strong evidence to the end that that is not how time works, and time probably doesn't even actually exist.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of time,
Mm,
I don't understand how you have time to do everything you do,
mm.
and learning now that you're even doing more than like I thought you were doing. So take us through
Okay,
life. Take us through a day in the life of Clues, if I may call you that.
sure. I wake up at like 9-ish roughly every day, and then I come sit in this chair that I'm sitting in now, and I leave this chair at about 2:30 a.m.
But you eat and stuff, right?
Yeah, I do eat from time to time, but usually that's as fast as possible so that I can get back in the chair. I go to the gym also.
Mm.
Those are about the only two things that I mean, that's not true. I do some like social activities and stuff too. have a girlfriend. We obviously go out, try to have fun. But she right now is in nursing school, so her schedule is like crazy as hell as well. So we're both just kind of working constantly. But yeah, I don't think I have a choice in this. It's just like what my brain dictates for me.
In a way, you must do it.
Yeah. If I don't, I don't know. It's just been that way since I've been young. There's a lot of shit in my head kind of swirling around constantly, and if I don't get enough of it out in the day, I just can't sleep. And so it's like I do this or I stay up all night doing this. It's I have those two choices, you know?
And is weed helpful to you in terms of that brain wave? Like, do you like drugs in general?
I do like weed. The drugs that I've done in my life are weed, mushrooms, and ecstasy or MDMA. And that's it. I do want to do DMT and LSD before death, but I've never done cocaine or heroin or any of these kind of drugs. They don't heroin has like some mild appeal to me. I mean, I've taken like painkillers, hydrocodone and stuff after surgeries and whatever, and I'm like, this shit is pretty good. But I don't think that I could inject myself, you know. I'd have to find some other way to do it, I guess. But to answer your question, I really do like weed. I don't know that it helps me work at all. Like I can't really write when I'm high. So it's kind of like just something I do recreationally with friends. Certainly it helps me come up with ideas and shit like that. But the actual labor of it is always has to be done sober, unfortunately.
It's pretty entertaining watching like episodes of The Traders with you, and then as you get more high, you talk more and more and you don't understand what's going on more and more, and we're like yelling at you like
I swear to Christ,
I don't understand the shield, and we're like, it's not simple.
That's what happens when I get high. I start like I can't pick out details and narratives and shit. It just becomes something else. My apologies for that.
No, it's wonderful. Don't ever change. Okay, so you have said on one of your podcasts, I can't remember which one, that in your opinion, like, I don't know if the word was success, but like whatever your ultimate goal is, it's extremely simple. You identify that goal, and then you just have to like work back, find the steps, and then just progressively do the steps, and then you will achieve that goal.
Yeah.
And you can kind of apply that to anything in life. So
totally.
My question is twofold. The first is, what is your ultimate goal that you're working toward? And will you be my life coach?
I'm not qualified to be anyone's life coach. I have no certification, so I don't know if I can do that.
You're already a coach, so you could extend that into...
Yeah, but I mean, I coach people to go into reality TV games, and then to make social media, then to try and manipulate the producers to bring them back on successive seasons and stuff. I don't know if that's life coaching really, but I mean, my ultimate goal is to get to as close of an understanding of fundamental reality as I can. That's, I think, has been my goal since I was a kid. I know that I will fail in that goal. I know that I will not come close to that, but I'm getting closer to it, you know? I do feel that I'm uncovering certain things that are like, okay, this seems more right, or this seems, or, you know, whatever. And that journey, that path for me is kind of my, as a human being, my ultimate goal. The other goals are just kind of like, I don't want to call them frivolous because I do enjoy them, like trying to control The Bachelor from outside the show, from using a podcast to basically try and take control of a reality show. That's been a very fun endeavor for me and continues to be, especially as I begin achieving more and more success in it. So I like these little projects and stuff, but I would say, yeah, my biggest goal is to try and get closer to understanding what any of this shit actually is.
And have you broken that down into simple steps?
I mean, it's not... Ultimately, I just have reached a conclusion that I think I'll never really understand it. I don't think human beings are capable of it, at least not in our current form or technological era. But I do think that there are constantly scientific breakthroughs happening to that end with the Large Hadron Collider and the Higgs boson particle. There's a lot of weird theoretical math being done now that are finding objects outside of space-time. I think that's a big indicator that, you know, we've got some more exploring to do. But as these scientific things usually start to transpire, they just lead to more questions. It's like, well, wait a minute, if the Big Bang's not real, then what is? And now you've got to do a whole new paradigm shift and all that kind of stuff. And that happens constantly in science. So, Yeah, I don't know that there are steps. I'm just exploring as many kind of directions as I can, I guess, about that question, including, weird astral projection and strange meditations and shit, trying to fuck with my own consciousness.
Mm. You're doing weird meditations?
Yeah. Aren't we all?
Yeah, I guess so. Okay. Topic 4.
All right.
Music.
Yeah.
You are the composer of such instant classics as Rachel Recchia and Please Rate This Podcast.
Yeah.
That's a fact. That's not a question. I also just have a request for you, which is please
Okay.
never change the intro theme to Game of Roses because it's perfect as it is.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.
What music did you first listen to as a kid?
God, first listened to whatever was on Top 40 radio. This is like, I was born in 1976, so I probably became aware of music when I was maybe 7, I think, 7 or 8. I, like, in quotes, bought my first cassette tape.
That was my next
my
question.
parents.
First
Yeah,
tape you
it
ever
was
bought.
Billy Joel's Nylon Curtain.
Okay.
If you can remember this, it had Allentown was maybe one of the bigger songs off that. Pressure was on that album. But I just listened to it compulsively, and that has never changed. I will get an album and I will listen to it basically 24 hours a day for a year or so, until I'm like, all right, time for a new album. But that has just been kind of a thing constantly for me, and there's always songs playing in my head constantly. But yeah, Billy Joel was a big one for me in the beginning. I remember getting the soundtrack to a musical called Chess because it had a song on it called One Night in Bangkok that I loved. And then I quickly learned, like, wait a minute, this whole double cassette tape thing, the rest of it's just classical music. What the fuck is this? I felt hoodwinked. But yeah, then I just kind of got into, I don't know, some of my bigger ones are like all the grunge bands, obviously a kid of the 90s. I really like Seal, Tori Amos. And now I predominantly listen to dubstep. That's like the only thing I listen to now.
Whoa.
I know. I don't know how it got to that, but that's where I am.
That's where you're at. And what is running through your head musically right now?
The XX, their first album. I don't know if you know them.
Yeah.
They're a great band. I don't know if they're still around, but they put out 2 or 3 albums in the mid 2000s. They're kind of like just a down tempo guy and girl singer. There's a little bit of like synthesizer put in, but they were a British band that formed at an art school, so you know it's good.
You know it's got to be good.
Yeah.
You once said that your greatest regret is never having studied music more seriously.
Mm-hmm.
What do you wish that you could learn?
How to make songs, basically. How to mix, master. I mean, all the stuff. My music education is literally, GarageBand's on my computer. Click, what's this? Let me start fucking around with it. Now I'll watch some YouTube videos and then graduate up to Logic Pro. And I know how to do enough to make the things you've heard in Game of Roses and all that, which is like, in my opinion, not great. I'll be very honest with myself here. I know enough to, like, I just have little melodies and stuff in my head that I like need to get out, or they just stay in there forever and it drives me fucking insane. And I know enough to do that to my own satisfaction. For all of the, Game of Roses theme songs you've heard, there are folders of thousands of other little things I've made that will never see the light of day that just need to be there for me.
As do so many of us who make sound.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. And you use Logic Pro?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I think you have, like you said, you have these melodies that run through your head. Like, Please Rate This Podcast is one of them.
Yeah.
Which, when I first heard it, I was just like, what? It's like, please rate this podcast. Like, that is a crazy chunk of melody. It's like a new music. Like, please rate this podcast. Please review this podcast. And then it just loops like more times than you think. And then it's over.
The constant looping of things is just funny to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
When you think like, oh, this has got to be the end. Nope, it's still
No, there's
going.
more. There's more. It goes 2 more
You just
times.
find that funny personally. And then cutting it off before you get the final conclusion of the last loop. Cutting off like the last syllable or the last word, I also find hilarious.
Please get a friend to listen to us. And then
it cuts off. And hopefully
that's
your
the end.
brain continues singing the song. That's the
Oh,
goal
it
with
does.
it, you know. Yeah.
I can tell you that it does.
So it worked.
It worked. No, I think that if there is such thing as an innate kind of talent,
Mhm.
you have it.
For music?
For sure.
Shit. Well, thank you.
Melody.
That's high praise. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but I thank you nonetheless.
We will be creating a song out of this interview, and I guess my question for you is, would you like to be involved in it, like as a singer, as a
Definitely not as a
lyricist?
singer. Definitely not as a singer. That's 100% not as a singer. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what I could offer, honestly. In terms of that. I'm kind of like more curious to see what you guys come up with.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I would like you to be involved as a guest artist, like as a singer.
Oh,
maybe.
Jesus. I don't
I
know.
think
I'm
that
just
would
a
be good.
terrible singer.
No.
I mean, yes.
No.
100% very bad. There's no
I heard you
no
sing.
getting around this.
Well, that's all a matter of opinion.
Sure.
Okay. A few just like rapid fire cues before we wrap it up. In your coaching of players for The Bachelor, you must now like just know so much more about the inner workings of the game, and I'm wondering if you've been shocked by anything.
I can say this. I have come into possession of certain documents, shall we say. I mean, when I started this Bachelor thing of coaching players, where Lizzie and I had done our podcast for at that point a couple of years, our book had come out, and I was like, well, I want to see if I can put this shit that we're talking about to the test. Are these strategies we're talking about and the way this game is manufactured, are we right about this? If so, I should be able to use this stuff and train people to go in, use these techniques, and achieve success in this game. And so in service of doing that, I mean, I've been on the other end of like tables where thumb drives are slid across the table to me and like manila envelopes and like, don't look at this until we leave here, that type of shit. It's very bizarre. It's like a spy world almost. And I didn't anticipate that. I've been just shocked by the I'll say this. I've been shocked by the fact that there are people in that world, not just Bachelor, reality TV in general, who are like just waiting to have somebody to tell their secrets to. And for whatever reason, I'm that person now. So I have just this treasure trove of all kinds of shit that is not just from coaching players. It's from, I think, just by virtue of our podcast existing and people listening to it that are like on the other side of the fence, wanting to be like, you don't know the half of it type shit. That has been very, very surprising to me. And yeah, there have been other things too that are like, usually to the opposite end, things that I thought were like manufactured or like that they've cut this scene to, you know, not be really as it is. And then it is really like that when you see the raw uncut footage and you're like, holy shit, they didn't change anything. This is insane. That
You've
has
gotten
been very
to see the raw uncut footage before edit?
In some cases.
Wow.
Not before edit, no.
Okay. That must be very exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I have access to that world in a way that is like slightly surprising to me. When we first started this whole thing, I was like, I think I see through it. I get how this is made and all of that. I never thought that the people who are making it would be like, here, check this out. Here, look at this. That has been incredibly surprising to me.
Okay, a question from my friend Gabby. Who from 90 Day would you coach for Bachelor?
I've only seen the most recent 90 Day episodes, or maybe the most 3 recent seasons. obviously Shekinah sticks out to me. Do you watch this show?
No, this is purely for Gabby.
Okay.
Probably this is only for Gabby, of who listens to this podcast.
Okay. I'll keep it brief then. I would say
Shekinah.
Shekinah of Shekinah and Sarper.
Okay. How do you hide it from your tone of voice when you're referencing people you've coached in game breakdowns? And maybe that's just the same as your Dudesy thing, where you just like naturally.
Yeah, it's a little different because like when we're doing the recaps, like I'm literally just looking at the document. And it doesn't, like, I don't care if I know the people in it, if I've coached them, if I have any other outside information, it just kind of goes away because I'm really analyzing like every frame of the show, what has been presented. And in some cases, like when you coach somebody, they go in, you don't talk to them for however long they're in the game, then they come out and you can get debriefed on what happened, but you still don't know what that edit's going to look like. They can tell you everything that went down on a group date and who won and who got in a fight and all this shit. That may never be on TV. You have no idea until the edit occurs of what the actual gameplay, the effect of it really was. Because like we say on the show, I think the hardest game of the 4 audiences, I'm sorry, I have to now explain this. We basically break down all reality TV. Bachelor specifically has 4 audiences. The first audience that you're always playing to. First audience is the Bachelor or the Bachelorette, the lead of the show. The second audience is the other players you're in there with. The third audience is the producers, and the fourth audience is us at home watching. That third audience, the producers, is the hardest audience to play to every time. It's the most important audience because they control what the final media is. And that's where you really get to see, did your player play that game right? Because let me see the edit. If you get turned into a villain or something, you fucked up big time, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, for me, that's like, it's very easy to not even have that factor into what my analysis is of the final effort because it's the edit, you know.
Totally. Yeah. Okay. So I don't think I actually referenced that you guys have a Patreon with a whole community of people that are your fans, who are called the Pit Dwellers. So people who live in this kind of fiery hell of obsession with this world that we've been describing and kind of getting into. But in 3 words, how would you describe the Game of Roses Pit Dweller community?
3 words. It's my home. I don't know what else to say. Me and Lizzie, like, you know, we say people are in the pit. Me and Lizzie dug the fucking pit.
Yeah.
We've been in it since the fucking first day, and there's no getting out. We are in it forever. Even if we stop doing Game of Roses, which I don't foresee, if I never watched reality TV again, the body of knowledge that we have about all of this shit is at such a high level. It's that can never go away. And it's like an integral part of who I am now as a person, my fandom of this show and generally reality TV at large. And now as I'm coaching players for not just Bachelor, but like some other games, it's starting to become like, I don't know, I can see some weird thing happening where I'm shifting into more of this weird, like, guru of reality TV for players who are playing those games. And it's a bizarre thing that I never thought would happen for me, but here it is.
For sure. And there's been this glimpse of Clues in the Wild on that episode of How To with John Wilson, which was so exciting for us to see.
That was pretty fun.
You being kind of discovered and put in an edit of your own, you know.
Sure.
I'm sure that your encounter with him was longer than the amount that we saw on that.
Yeah, it was much longer.
How did you like your edit?
I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. They got the most important thing, me and my weird maniac charts with The Bachelor. But yeah, it was over a course of 2 days at that Alcor conference. And a friend of mine is a producer on that show. And he remembered that I had like signed up to freeze myself. And he's like, hey, you know, could you just like give us 15 minutes on a Zoom or something talking about cryonics? And I was like, I'll do you one better. You guys will probably want to go to this thing. Alcor, the company that freezes bodies, is having their like 50-year anniversary or whatever in a couple of months. You guys might want to go to it because I have seen his show, loved his show. And then my friend was like, would you want to go to that? And we'll like follow you around and talk to you and shit. I'm like, yeah, sure. So we did that for 2 days. But the only stuff of mine that made the edit was the Bachelor stuff.
That was my next question: was this a chance encounter? Because that's what we're
No.
kind of led to believe, is that he just finds you and then
Yeah. That's the kayfabe.
There you go. Okay, well, I know that we're out of time also, Jack, but I'm trying to think of like a good way to sort of wrap it up. Okay, I know that you have already like pitched and sold reality shows, so let's pretend that you haven't and that you're kind of creating a brand new one that of which you are the Dark Lord. So you are the host.
Okay.
Do you have an impulse of what that show would be called?
Yes. It would be called The Bracket. This is a show that me and Lizzie have like created and are trying in some capacity to sell at this point.
Okay.
But it's basically a reality dating format called The Bracket. That would be based on a kind of either or choice, repeated multiple times through a bracket of players up to the final two. I would love to see that show. With some other elements, heavy social media element. The players all get to have their cell phones the entire time, things of that nature. I would love to see that show.
I hope that it gets made.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, we'll see. It's so much. It's an undertaking if you sell any kind of show, reality or otherwise. So, we'll see. Things are afoot, but who knows?
Good. I'm glad to hear. Okay, well, I'm going to wrap this up with a quote from Elon Gale. And you can tell me what you think.
Okay.
He says, "People are much more interesting than we think they are. And so, rather than containing them, I think our job is to allow them to be the exploding supernovas that they are."
Spoken like a true reality TV producer, I'll say that much. I mean, or we have to create a supernova and make it seem like this person is going supernova. I mean, he's one of the greatest to ever produce The Bachelor, in my opinion. He gave us a lot of great seasons, created Paradise. Yeah, one of the best to ever do it. I don't agree with him, though. I don't think that that's entirely accurate.
It's interesting in reading that article. Ashley I. Kennedy, one of the stars of The Bachelor, is kind of interviewed on it, and she talks about how like everyone kind of was in love with him, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
He has this charisma and charm, and people kind of like all have crushes on him, basically, which is why they sort of do his bidding.
I think like he has kind of cult leader vibes, and in that environment where you have a group of people that you're in control of, and you're basically trying to get behaviors out of them for one reason or another. In an actual cult, it's I want your money or I want to have sex with you. Basically, those are the only two reasons. But in reality TV, it's I want you to go supernova. Will you sacrifice yourself for me in that way? And yes, they will for him, because he had these kind of abilities of manipulation. And I don't know if they have producers like that now, but I also think the show is different now, and in a good way. I think it's more about kind of championing these people and trying to make them look good and not have them go supernova necessarily.
Yeah. Okay, well, I feel like I could keep asking questions for a long time, but I appreciate your time. It's 2:30 here in Toronto.
Yeah, I appreciate yours. This was fantastic.
Thank you so much. Actually, Phil's been here the whole time because he's a big fan. This is my husband, Phil.
Hi, how you doing?
Breaking the wall. Phil's been he was supposed to be like my producer, sending me prompts if I was missing things, but he never sent me anything. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
So thanks, Jack. Thanks so much,
My pleasure.
Chad. Yeah.
My pleasure as well.
Do you ever come to Toronto still?
I haven't been in a long time. I had a girlfriend who lived there. And so
I think that was our connection, right?
Through Oh, really?
A friend of ours, knows his roommates were friends with your ex, I suppose. Yeah.
Oh,
I don't
interesting.
know if you remember someone named Cam Lee.
I don't think
Cameron?
so.
Okay.
I don't.
Well, we go to LA sometimes, and we would love to hang out with
Hit me
you.
up. Hit me up. I'm here, as you know, in this chair, basically 24 hours a day.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, I'll be in touch about the music, I guess. I
Yeah.
have some ideas. I wrote some things down.
Okay.
yeah, we're gonna get you guest. We're gonna get you to guest on it in some manner. Let's just say that you're comfortable.
Maybe I'll do a riff on my literal computer keyboard. I could do
Perfect.
that. A little
That would be
synthesizer
perfect.
riff.
Great.
Okay.
That's true.
Fantastic. Well, thank.
No,
Sorry, go ahead.
And also, in terms of music production, I know you don't have any time, but
Yeah.
Phil is a great producer, and he's happy to answer any questions or
That's true.
be your teacher or whatever.
Eventually, I'm going to make an album.
Yeah.
It just has to be when there's more time.
Yeah.
Which I don't know when that's going to be. I'm thinking about doing another podcast, and then I'm just like, then that's it. There'll be no time. But
but even if you're
I'll let
like,
you know.
fuck, how do I do this one thing? You can
Yeah.
ask Phil.
Fantastic. I appreciate it. That's a good resource to have.
Cool.
I think in the way that Robin, you connect with these melodies that Chad kind of just plops out. I think that could be a good process. Like, and it could be very easy. Like, whatever's running through your head at the moment, and then you kind of take that and make it into.
Yeah, I'll send you some one of my little works in progress if you want. If that gives you
Please.
anything.
That
Okay.
would be ideal. Yeah, and if anything emerges over the next 24 hours, just make sure to get that down.
I certainly will.
on
I do
over.
every day. I make at
Okay.
least one little thing a day.
Okay, well send the one that happens today.
Okay, I will.
Perfect.
All right. Take it easy. It was a pleasure talking to all of you, and
You
yeah,
too.
we'll be in contact.
Thank you so much.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Well done, guys. Wow. Yeah.
I hope that wasn't too irrelevant, should I say, to like the larger population.
Yeah.
I think he's a pretty fascinating guy, though.
Yeah, no, it's great. You really super well structured. I mean, I guess I'm a bit ignorant. I didn't know The Bachelor was a big thing. So I guess
It's a big thing. Well, it's a big thing, I guess. Not. Yeah, that would make sense that it's not big
Okay.
over there.
yeah, no, I mean here in Italy is not. So yeah. No, but you did a super job of being so I'm a bit blocked here.
That's okay.
But,
I can hear that.
yeah, but super well structured. I mean, you've great. I've never had that on where someone comes on and has they've already got the 4 parts to the. I mean, I'm
Well,
so
then-
chaotic. I can barely like.
I would have only done it with him because there's so much. I felt like there's so much to cover.
I didn't realize.
And also, that's how he structures his podcast with his family. He always has 4 topics.
so there's an in-joke for the fans.
Yeah.
There we go.
There we go.
Yeah, I think. Oh, there's a cat up here, a dog. Oh,
It's Sammy.
hello. Hey, Sammy. Yeah, so I think a lot of people get a lot from this, from your fans, from his fans, from fans of his many podcasts,
Mhm.
fans of The Bachelor. I think we have millions of people here. who could
Our lives are about to change.
So yeah, if he plugs it too, and it's great.
Yeah, I hope he
People have
does. Yeah.
it. Yeah, brilliant. So yeah, let's go back and forth on the song, and well done again. Where can people follow you, follow your music? Put a little plug.
So you can find us on Instagram at Saint Berenice, SaintBerenice. That's the easiest
Brilliant.
spot, really. I'm barely on Facebook anymore. We have a weird website that's just like a drawing of a rhino that my nephew did.
Yeah, I was clicking all over this animal to try to go further, but
Nothing there.
2
We're
hours
not,
later,
we're not great. We're not great with our self promo. But yeah,
Okay.
hopefully we'll be over. If there are Italian listeners, hopefully we'll be over there in May,
yeah,
and I'll be
Okay.
definitely promoting that on Instagram. So
yeah. You get to LA too, put on the list.
for
Yeah,
sure,
yeah.
absolutely.
Brilliant. Okay, well, the song's going to automatically play in a moment. This finished
Good.
masterpiece that we'll spend months working on. So hope people like it. And it's been a real pleasure. I really enjoyed. You did a great job.
Thank you so much. I
Super
had a great
professional.
time.
Thank you. All right, take care.
Okay.
Bye bye.
Don't wanna go slow, 'cause reality ain't enough. I'm already falling for your good guy, bad guy stuff. The only one I'm seeing is whoever we wind up being. So let's go supernova, get a load of this this persona. Maybe we can do some yoga in the morning light. I just wanna get to know